Afternoon, everybody. I just thought I'd let you know that we're just getting started here. We'll get going in a couple of minutes, so just please hold on while we get things started. Thank you very much for your patience. Hello, are other monster handlers in the chat?
Hello, Sean.
Hello, good afternoon, monster handler Mike. How are you?
Oh, I'm just groovy.
It's great to hear. Monster handler Eric, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm
Monster
good.
Handlers Matt and Sean.
Okay, I should mention probably that monster handler Matt is with me in the same room. I will introduce that actually in the meantime. So it looks like we're ready to get started actually, so let's do that. So first, of course, I just want to say happy monstering, everybody. We're really excited to be back for another one of these Ask Me Anything sessions, and really exciting news. We have a brand new name for this segment. We're going to call it Handler Hangout because you get to hang out with us for a good solid hour. So we hoped that that's a good name for you and that you enjoy it. We're really happy to be live here in the Ockulo Grove Discord group. And again, big thank you to the admin and moderators of the group for helping getting this all set up. Obviously, we're joined by Monster Handler Mike, Monster Handler Eric, and sitting right next to me is Monster Handler Matt, who is going to probably be answering tons of your questions. There's been a lot going on in the My Singing Monsters world. Obviously, we've had this big 3.2 update just hit, along with 2 brand new monsters. And we've also announced just an hour ago a very exciting new video contest, which we're happy to take questions on as well, where we're going to be asking you to submit your favorite natural islands, and we're going to be judging them. Obviously, some of the things we can't go into in this session are topics related to technical issues, account issues, anything like that. Just please, contact our support staff. They'll be happy to help you. And as much as we'd like to get to everybody, we only have about an hour or so we'll do our best to get through questions. That's why we'd also like to limit you each to 1 question at a time, please, so we can make sure to get to as many people as possible. The last bit of housekeeping, if you do have a question, there's a little button on the bottom of your screen that's a hand. That's the request to speak button. All you need to do is press that. We'll see you in a little list. If we get to you, we'll call your name. You'll be invited to speak, and then you can ask your question. So, monster handlers, are you ready?
I'm ready. Hi, everyone. Happy monstering. I just had one quick housekeeping note on top of what Monster Handler Sean was saying, and that is, of course, he mentioned that we would not be able to discuss in depth any sort of technical difficulties you might be having or any account issues like that. Just did want to make a mention of the fact that we have been diligently working on fixes for some of the issues that have been reported to us that went in version 3.2, and we're toiling away on version 3.2.1 as we speak. So rest assured, the best and brightest monster handlers are sorting all that out for you. So
That's really great news.
yeah, so that's very exciting. I'm excited. I'm very excited to get started.
I'm so very excited, and we have
Handler Hangout.
Yes.
Alliteration is key. You know, it's always important. You get the nice aspirated H. Handler Hangout. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Sounds
Love some aspirated alliteration.
Yes, you got it.
Okay. So we have 33 questions. We're ready and waiting for us. So we're just going to dive in there. We're going to start with, let's see here. Randy, you have a question. You've been invited to speak.
Oh! Ah! Ah!
Hi, Randy. Do you have a question for us?
Ah! I'm so excited to see you.
We're so excited to have you. What's your question?
I didn't really think of a question.
Oh, well, we might have to move on to another player then.
But
No,
it's
no,
nice
wait,
to
I
hear.
think I
But it's not. Oh, he's got one.
Wait, I can think of something. Wait.
Maybe we'll come back to you, Randy.
Yes, if you
Yeah.
have a question, we can just put your hand back
But
up.
nice to hear from you.
Yeah.
As Matt
Yeah.
says, very nice to hear from you. Okay,
Randy.
let's see. Bye, Randy.
Bye, Randy. I like your
TreeSquid.
avatar.
TreeSquid, you've been invited to speak.
Hello.
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 I am very honored to be speaking with the monster handlers right now.
Well, it's our honor to be speaking to you, TreeSquid. What's your question?
So my question is, will the remaining quad elemental fire elementals in Dawn of Fire make it over to the main game?
Ooh, a very popular question here. We're not entirely sure what the future roadmap for such quad element fire elementals as Edamimi and Flamox and Yelmet are with respect to My Singing Monsters. Of course, canonically, they're all still hanging around the two Fire Islands, Fire Haven and Fire Oasis. Whether or not they appear in game is still a decision we haven't yet fully made. We are sort of conflicted about bringing them into My Singing Monsters just because we did want some content that remains exclusive to the Dawn of Fire experience. But you never know. Never say never. We got lots of tricks up our sleeves, and it could be that in coming years of future content development, that's something that that we might see. So thanks for your interest in that.
All right, you're welcome.
Happy monstering.
You too.
Okay, just a second here. We have plenty of questions coming in, and let's see. We have our very next question is from Editor Grandizer.
Ooh.
First of all, my name is Editor Grandizer. Sorry, it's okay if you made a mistake. And my question is, in the next 10 years, will there ever be a My Singing Monsters sequel, just like how Dawn of Fire is the My Singing Monsters prequel?
A sequel.
Oh,
That's a good question.
Grandizer, that's a good question. Also, 10 years. In the next 10 years, I don't know if the who knows what state will the world be in the next 10 years. Maybe we'll discover that the monster world was real all along, and there will be a dimensional rift that opens between our world and the monster world, and we'll all just sort of move in and cohabitate with the monsters. Wouldn't that be wonderful? You know, it's funny you should say that because, you know, we haven't even yet hit the 10-year milestone for My Singing Monsters itself. Its 10th anniversary is going to be coming in 2022. So I have no idea what could happen in the next 10 years of My Singing Monsters, but I would say absolutely anything is possible. So I guess you'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Thanks for asking. Thanks for answering my
You're welcome.
question.
Thank you. Monster Handler Mike, did you have another point?
Well, I was going to ask Editor Grandizer there if there was going to be a My Singing Monsters 2 or a sequel or what have you, what would Editor Grandizer, you know, want out of that? Like what exactly would somebody be looking for in a sequel to My Singing Monsters? That's what I was going to ask.
Well, I'm curious about that too. So if Editor Grandizer wants to write in the chat what their thoughts are about something like that, we'll be sure to take a look at it. We are trying to get to as many questions as possible, but we are interested in what you have to say. So please send it to us.
Thank you. I do want to go back to Randy, who looks like they have a question this time. Sorry, just a second. It's not.
On the hunt for Randy.
Just a minute. Hi, Randy. Welcome back.
So it said in G'day's bio that it had a link with the Gajube. Is there any way I can get more details on that?
Well, Randy, as of right now, your information is as good as ours in terms of how much we have and the speculation. Obviously, there does seem to be some similarity between the two monsters in terms of coloration and the fact that they are both sort of woodwind-inspired monster. Of course.
Gajube being a bassoon and G'day being a didgeridoo.
That's exactly right. So we're not entirely sure what the lineage is here, whether Gajube, this is sort of hinted at in the bio, was there sort of a wayward group of Gajubes that accidentally tumbled through a portal into the pocket dimension and sort of settled on Magical Sanctum? Is it the other way around, that G'day came first and then Gajubes descended from those? We're not entirely sure. But I can.
I'm thinking that G'day came first, and then G'day evolved into Gajube because of the primitive-like state of G'day. Well, Gajube looks more evolved.
Definitely an interesting notion, and I believe the didgeridoo, if we want to make a comparison to the human world, I believe the didgeridoo might be an older instrument than the bassoon. I'd have to double check my musicology on that. But what I think is, but what I would like to confirm at this time is that, and maybe there are more members waiting to be discovered, I'm not entirely sure, but G'day and Gajoob, regardless of which came first, are part of a mini monster family like the Shugafam or the Pomely that I like to call the Gabrood. The Gabrood. That's G''B''R''O''D. The Gabrood. So
That's a nice name. The Gabrood.
I thought so too. So thank you very much for your question, Randy.
Thank you very much, Randy. Happy monstering.
That seems like a real chicken and good egg situation we got going on there.
A pun worthy of Eric. Eric, any response to that?
I applauded, but I don't think my microphone picked it up. It was a nice slow clap. It really built. You would have appreciated it.
Oh,
thank you.
that sounds wonderful. All right, who's next? Who we got next?
Oh, we have plenty of questions still waiting. Up next in the queue is Xander Rock 98, who we've heard from before. We'd be happy to hear your question, Xander Rock.
My question is, what color was PongPing? And also, if you could describe the design in more detail.
Sorry, Xander Rocks. We're having some difficulty hearing you. There's a little bit of interference. Do you think you could repeat your question, please?
What color was PongPing? And also, if you could describe its design in more detail.
Ah, sure. Yes, PongPing was a sort of a placeholder monster before I believe Shellbeat was fully designed, and who knows? Maybe one day we will divulge what the concept art for that looked like. But if you can imagine sort of a gangly monster with a central spherical head and two arms holding sort of ping pong bats in either hand, and then with some splayed-toed feet at the bottom. That's sort of the general vibe of it. Maybe for Throwback Thursday in the future on our social media channels, we might explore the heritage of Shellbeat, aka what was originally PongPing. PongPing is to Shellbeat as Flutefly was to Quarster before Flutefly became an official.
Interesting.
I'd love
monster.
to see what an artistic interpretation would be based on that description.
Mm-hmm. Especially in advance of us revealing what the concept art looks like.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your question.
Thank you
Great
very
question.
much for your question. And we still have plenty more to go to. Let's just jump straight into another one. Spungatillo, you've been invited to speak.
Hey, it's pronounced Spungatillo, by the way.
Spungatillo, sorry for any pronunciation mishaps.
Welcome, Spungatillo. What is your question?
Oh, gee. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Will the Magical Sanctum be the last thing involving the Magicals, or do you have more plans for them in the future? Because I love the Magicals so much.
Well, we're very pleased to hear that you enjoy this particular family of monsters. Obviously, we were being a little cheeky when we said that Light Island was the last magical island, and in a sense, we were correct because Magical Sanctum isn't a magical island in the traditional sense. And if a magical island can be defined as a group of natural, fire, and magical monsters cohabitating on a particular island, I'm sure this is not the last that we've heard of the magicals. And of course, rare magicals are always being discovered, so that family is growing in and of itself. But you never know. Who knows? I do think that we, in a sense, are about ready to close this particular chapter of Mythical Monsters, if you want to call it the magical chapter that began with Fire Frontier, aka Psychic Island, and concludes when Magical Sanctum gets fully populated. But you never know. We always like to revisit ideas. We always like to expand on ideas and grow these families. So I would say stay tuned. Anything is up for grabs.
It was like only yesterday the Magical Sanctum came out. I can't believe there are only 2 left.
I know. We feel the same way, and we're very excited for you to meet these final 2. Obviously, as monster handlers, we don't want to be too partial to any of them, but I think these final 2 are really going to knock some socks off. So we're very excited.
All right, I'll see you, and have a very happy monstering.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Happy monster.
Thank you. Speaking of not playing favorites necessarily between monsters, you'll never believe where our next question is coming in from.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You may have heard of a monster called G'day.
Oh, g'day, mate. Hello. Hello. Yes.
We have a question from G'day.
I apologize to all of our Australian fans for my accent.
I think it was spot on.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure it wasn't. All right. G'day.
G'day, you've been
Let's hear from
invited to
G'day.
speak. If we don't hear back from you in the next short little bit, we will move on to our next requester.
And we might come back to you, G'day, if we don't hear.
Okay.
And you're done.
Thank you. Okay, so next up we have nblancha. Hello.
Yes, hello. My question is there like a planned change, like a quality of life feature for the path placing? Because as of right now, it's very annoying to place paths. I was sort of thinking maybe it could be something like placing walls in Clash of Clans where you like drag and it'll place in a line.
Yes, this is a commonly requested feature. And definitely we've heard it enough over the years that we definitely hear you, and that does sound like something that would be nice to explore. So tell you what, I will obviously the rest of the Monster Handler team gets to review this particular Handler Hangout at their leisure after it has completed. So there will be a record. There will be a record of this particular request. So that's good. So yeah, I think that is definitely a quality of life improvement that I could see us considering for the future.
Great, thank you.
Please, I'm decorating my islands and I really want this.
Good luck in the meantime. I'm sure you
Indeed.
get it beautifully made.
Yeah.
Happy monster.
Happy
All right.
monster. Okay, who's up next? Let me see here. We have a speaker named Tuppy who has been invited to speak. Tuppy, who in brackets has indicated is a bad person. I don't know if Tuppy's going to be speaking, but they might be asking me a question in a DM. So what I will do in the meantime, is I will let them ask their question, and I will get back to you, Tuppy, once you've asked your question to me. I'll just move on to another person next, and we'll get back to that next. So next up to speak is IceplayzMSM. We are happy to have you up there. You've been invited to speak, Iceplayz.
Like a little milk carton or something.
Welcome aboard, Iceplayz. Hello, are you there? Paging Iceplayz. Hello.
Hello,
There.
Iceplayz. Okay, we have run out of time, but I am happy to say that our question from Tuppy has come in. Tuppy says, are we ever going to get more ethereals or supernatural monsters?
More ethereals or supernatural monsters? I don't know. You know what's funny? I depending on who's asking the question, I find that it's always, are we going to get more of this class of monster, of that class of monster, which is to me very exciting because that means that there's not a clear favorite among the community, that there's interest in all of the different various branches of the monster family tree. As far as ethereal and supernatural class monsters are concerned, of course with the discovery of Epic Ghast, we know that there's an epic ethereal class out there whose remaining members are no doubt waiting to be discovered. Bah! And then as far as supernatural is concerned, there are what seem to be a couple of missing branches of that particular supernatural family tree, especially with respect to non-common cousins are concerned. So we'll have to keep a lookout for such things in the future. No doubt.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Oh, well, it was my pleasure.
Iceplayz did get a question to us in the form of DM. So this one is one that we could all potentially answer. It's an easy question. What is your favorite monster? Does anybody want to
Not
keep
an
this one
easy
off?
question.
No, that's one of the
Okay.
hardest questions.
All right. Well,
Monster
maybe it's
Handler
easy
Sean.
for me because I have a favorite.
All right, you
and
go
my
first then.
favorite is actually Blabbit because
Oh,
right when I started becoming an apprentice monster handler, I think that was my first introduction. It was right around that same time that Blabbit was out and about, and I got to meet Blabbit up close and personal.
that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I
It
love
was
that story.
Beautiful moment.
My favorite monster. I tell you who my favorite is recently. My favorite monster recently is Theremind. Is there a little bit of bias there because I helped to voice Theremind? Absolutely. But I just think it's a really cool monster that has a lot of creative potential. I love the sound of it. I loved recording a new part for it for Magical Sanctum after it had been doing its thing on Psychic Island for so long. I love the color scheme. I'm really into it. Theremind's my recent favorite.
It's a good choice.
Michael or Eric, do you have any contenders?
I would say my one that I would go to is most likely Pango, because I like the cold and I feel like I share a kinship with them. And I especially am excited that they are in My Singing Monsters Playground, and they will be my character of choice for sure. And then, oh, who was it? There was somebody recently that I really took a liking to, but I am totally blanking.
Someone
right now.
or
Eric,
some mon? Someone or some mon?
some mon.
Very good. Yes, that's the unofficial official term. So that we can keep the ball rolling, presumably Eric is still deep in thought about his answer. So why don't we?
I've got it.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Maulch.
Maulch. Very good.
Thank you.
Classic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Classic Eric.
Yeah.
We'll move back to the speakers at this point, and we have Paxnar lined up next. Paxnar, we're ready to hear your question.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
I would like to ask, will the collect all button be added to the game so we can save our time collecting coins, like in Dawn of Fire?
Paxnar, thank you for your question. You know, it hasn't necessarily come up that much in the past. The collect all. I'm kidding, of course. We know that the collect all button is one of the most requested features for the game, and obviously we can't confirm anything at this point. We don't necessarily like to discuss unreleased content or unreleased features, not until we have a chance to sort of finalize them, flesh them out, finish them off. But I would point you historically to the fact that castle upgrades for the natural islands was also a much requested feature for many years. ... So I will let you form your own conclusions about what that means. Thank you for your question, Paxnar. It is not going unnoticed. We know how popular a feature that is.
Thank you for picking me.
Thank you.
Happy monstering.
Happy monstering.
Okay, this is going great. We're only 20 minutes in, and we have plenty more questions to do.
Woohoo!
So let's go.
Great.
Just keep on going. We have Rebeka the Rebegart is
Ooh.
up next.
Maybe that's a member of the Bogart clan.
And what
Mm.
the user
Yeah,
pick thinks
the
they look
Bogart
like
fam.
is- Yeah.
Hello.
Hello there. As you can see, my mic is a little bit better now, I guess.
Yes, it is much improved. We can hear you
Yeah, you
very
sound
clearly.
good.
What's your question, Rebeka?
Okay, I'm not sure if it's the right question to ask, but it's what the whole community is asking about. You know thing about those same monsters, and we know that it has been somewhat revealed in 2017, and we kind of know it's been got a redesign in 2019, and all of us are dying to know, is it still in development? Is it been scrapped? We're not sure what has happened.
Rebeka, thank you for your question. Because Those Singing Monsters is a collaboration with our partners at Wind Sun Sky, we're not able to give any sort of updates at this time about its status, whether or not it's been scrapped or whether it's in active development or anything like that. As we've said in the past, if we have any updates to share with you, you'll be the first to know, obviously. And we do understand that the community has been very curious about it ever since its announcement in 2017. Obviously, with lots of changes in the industry affected by COVID and stuff like that, there are lots of things that are potentially on
COVID.
hold or that are potentially being sort of reimagined. So when we have any updates about Those Singing Monsters, we'll be sure to share them with the community.
All right, thank you. Happy monstering.
Thank you. Happy monstering.
Happy monstering.
Thank you.
We have Wahoo up next. Wahoo, you've been invited to speak.
Woohoo!
Wahoo!
Ready, Wahoo. Are you coming? There.
There we go.
Hello.
Woo!
Hello, Wahoo. You're muted currently.
We're listening.
Maybe they want to ask you their question through DM.
If you have a question and you can't speak, please feel free. This is for people who are calling to speak. Please feel free to DM me your question and we'll get to it after the next one. I did notice that G'day, who we called on previously, is requesting back to speak. We're happy to have you, G'day. Sorry for the issue earlier. Please go ahead.
Good day to you.
Hello.
It's another chance to do the accent.
Hello.
Thank you.
G'day. Hello. You there?
I'm a big fan.
I am a big fan.
G'day. Your silence is deafening. I don't know what to make of it. My heart is beating in my chest. I want to know what you have to say.
But eyes staring straight into my soul.
I think there might be an issue with your mic today. If you want to send me a message, I can get to your question in due time. So I'll just move you down from now, and we'll move on to the next participant. Sorry for that, and thank you for your patience. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. Agiotabm? Agiota? Oh, you know.
Yeah, why don't you tell us how to pronounce
Handlers.
it? Hello.
Hi.
Sorry for my bad English. I'm from Brazil.
Not at all.
No, you're doing great.
So, what will guys do when more islands don't fit in the game?
That's a great
Ooh,
question.
a great technical question.
So obviously, with My Singing Monsters preparing to celebrate its 9th birthday in September, what's cool about that is that the game's been around so long that the power of devices and of the capabilities of the App Store have increased so much over the span of the game's lifetime that when it comes time for us to add new islands or new content, previously we were limited by some storage limitations and stuff like that. But more recently, those caps just keep increasing and increasing, and we're also always optimizing behind the scenes to try and make sure that we're making the best, most efficient use of space in the app itself. So when it comes time to add a new island, you're right, in the past it has been there has been a space issue. There has been can we fit another one in? But fortunately, as devices get more powerful and as the app stores give us a little bit more leeway in terms of the size of apps themselves, we've been able to add more and more islands over the course of the game's history.
And to add to that, if I will, that's why you see some features, that we wanted to add for a long time, but couldn't, like hotel upgrades, because certain devices couldn't support that change basically that we wanted to make, right? And so when advancements happen and we see that enough of the population has upgraded to those devices, that's where we can start to make those changes.
Yeah, our sandbox becomes a little bigger. We can have a little bit more fun. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy monstering.
So Wahoo did reach out to me with their question, so I'm happy to answer that. Or sorry, I'm happy to ask that on their behalf. Maybe I'll have the answer for it. We'll see. It's actually related to the board game. As you may know, the Kickstarter just recently wrapped up. Wahoo was wondering if there'll still be a way to get all of the costume cards, particularly, I think it was Spa Potbelly at this point.
So I know that was something that we had been. I'm not sure. It might have been Wahoo that asked this on the Kickstarter itself. That is something that we are looking into, whether there is potentially the ability for a limited run print that players could potentially purchase as an additional add-on. And if that was the case, that would be handled through BackerKit, which, as we said in the update, and as well answering someone's question, should be going out within the next 2 weeks. And so if it's a possibility that that we can do that, it will show up basically within BackerKit as an optional buy. And you can add it to your order at that point. But yes, don't have any official answers at this time, but looking into it for you.
Great, thank you very much. I hope that was helpful. Who do we have up next? We have Flappy King 1886. You've been invited to speak. Hello. Flappy King, are you there?
Real confident.
I love the eraser look.
Yeah, just really.
Yes.
This question's all atmosphere.
They may. I'm going to assume.
Go ahead, Monster Handler Mike.
Was that you, Sean? I was going to say, I assume if somebody comes up and they're not speaking immediately, they probably want to ask a DM.
Yep. Feel free to send me a DM, Flappy King 1886, and I will get to your question in due time. Oh, actually, see that we have one. Let's us move on to our next queue member. So Star, or Starburst Clownfish, you've been invited to speak, and then we'll get to Flappy's question.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clearly, Star. How's it going?
I'm going pretty good. I'm just turning off this fan so there's less noise. Okay, so... Oh boy, okay, so this may seem like a bit of a... I don't know how to word it, but okay, here it is. So, you know how G'day, we have theories that it evolved into Gajube over time, you know? So, I had a theory. I thought that since G'day theorized, we don't know for sure, since G'day turned into Gajube, turned into Ostrich. Where do mythicals come from?
A very interesting idea. As of right now, the Gabrood, comprised of G'day and Gajube, is sort of unique among the mythicals, and of course that's not a very large group to be unique among. But so far as I know, the ostrich does not have any direct ancestors or descendants at this time, of course, that we know of. We did want to make a sort of forge a specific link between G'day and Gajube as we were designing the monsters, just because the didgeridoo has been such a requested instrument for so long, and a sort of a bit of a behind-the-scenes look as well. When we were originally designing the mythical monsters, there was a didgeridoo monster whose concept art we might even have released in the past, I'm not sure. But that was sort of the original Gajube before it shifted to a sort of a bassoon-like sound and got its current rather walrus-like appearance. So that was also sort of a
G'day
callback.
is almost like a proto Gajube, taking inspiration from its original purpose.
That's a very eloquent way of putting it, Star. I think that's
Yes.
a great way to put it. And thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for your question. Duck, you're up next. And then we'll go back to Flappy's question.
Hello.
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 Hello, Duck.
Hold on. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, you sound great.
So, most people who play Dawn of Fire know that there's still one quad element monster that hasn't been released yet. I believe it's Plant, Cold, Earth, and Fire. But
That's the one.
is there anything you're able to tell us about it?
Duck, that's a great question, a loaded question for sure. It is definitely a conspicuously absent final quad element monster in my Singing Monsters, Dawn of Fire, that is. Any information that I could give to you at this time would be sort of work in progress, unconfirmed sort of thing. But I can say this much. It does have a sound part that has been designed, and one of the monster handlers on this call helped to contribute to its sound design, and it is not me.
Very interesting.
Yes, that's maybe as much as I want to divulge at this time. We don't necessarily have any sort of production dates specifically in mind for when that is coming out. Obviously, with it being the year of the monster, and Big Blue Bubble hard at work on working on My Singing Monsters Playground, and we've been working very hard on My Singing Monsters board game, and of course all the updates coming to the main game. We of course have been continuing to discover new prismatics in Dawn of Fire, but
thank you.
we'll see. We'll see.
Thank you, Duck.
You
Okay,
did get a
we
little bit of extra information out of them.
A little bit. A little bit.
That was a little deeper dive than I anticipated.
Indeed.
So our question from Flappy, and maybe you will understand it in a bit more detail than I. Will the Quint of My Singing Monsters exist in a future update?
Ooh, the Quint of My Singing Monsters. What is the Quint, you might ask? Well, this Quint element monster was originally designed to hold all 5 of the natural elements, so that's air, plant, earth, water, cold, and there was sort of a spot for it reserved in-game right from the beginning, but has never really materialized in any sort of concrete way. There is some art that exists for it. There is a name for it. This is, of course, Mimic that we're referring to. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Mimic will ever find its way to My Singing Monsters, nor can I guess at this time at what sort of mechanic that it would use in order to join the game, because of course most islands are made up of 4 elements at a time, not necessarily 5. There are of course some exceptions in there, but those exceptions, like for example Shugabush Island, have different breeding mechanics in the first place. So I don't know. I know that I personally am a Mimic stan, and that I am always it's always in the back of my mind when it comes time to work on new ideas or bring new concepts to the game. So know that the Quint element monster has not been forgotten. No specific plans at this time, but I guess you'll have to stay tuned.
Great, thank you very much. We do have 71 requests to speak now. This number just keeps growing even as we get through it. The Snowmander, you've been invited to speak. We'd be happy to hear from you. Hello.
Hello.
So my question is, wait, let me think one for a second.
Sorry, could you repeat that,
Hello,
Snowmander?
can you hear me?
Yep, sorry, we lost you for a second there.
Oh, sorry.
All good. Could you repeat your question, please?
I'm thinking of my question of. Oh yeah, epic Ethereals, like they haven't been shown for like a long time. Like what's gonna happen to them? Are they ever coming?
Yes, they are coming, but I can't give you any more information than that, Snowmander. I apologize. But
okay.
you know, there are a couple of times a year when exciting things happen, when there's sort of a convergence of exciting monster energy. That hasn't happened yet this year. So I would maybe see what the rest of the year of the monster brings.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Patience is a virtue, but thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Snowmander.
you.
Foxy, you're up next. Let's just keep getting through it. We're getting a lot of questions in. This is great. Foxy, you've been invited to speak.
Hello.
Hello.
You can probably hear the Sanctum music decorating for the contest.
I can.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that you're decorating for the You're a Natural video contest.
Yeah. Anyways, let me just find my question quick. Will there be any like more Wubbling / Celestial type islands in the future?
It's an excellent question.
And you have to zap the monsters and that.
Yes, the Zap Islands, as I have sort of unofficially designated them. Right now, what's cool about the Zap Islands is that they all sort of share a connection in one way or the other to the element of electricity. Obviously, on Wubblin Island, that's sort of the element in question. The Wubbox, of course, having created the Wubblins to form its own supernatural family. And of course, Galvana, Celestial of Electricity, is present there on Celestial Island. I'm not necessarily sure nothing is springing to mind, but we would be very curious to hear what the community's thoughts are on what a future Zap Island might look like, what its inhabitants, who its inhabitants would be, how that would work. So if you have any ideas, please send them to us, because we're always listening to your theories and your feedback. And while of course we can't incorporate all of them, and we obviously have some ideas of our own, it is always nice to hear that there is some interest in that mechanic being revisited in the future.
When I last time that asked me anything, I said, "Give me luck for Plinkaju." Can you please give me luck for the Epic's dog? Thank you. Happy monstering.
Happy monstering.
Monstering.
Happy monstering.
We'll move on to the next question. Fluffed corn. This next question's coming for you. You've been invited to speak.
Hello, flushed corn.
You're currently muted on your end if you're trying to talk.
Hello.
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 So I was wondering, would there be like a mythical island, like Magical Sanctum and Ethereal Island?
Well, that would certainly be an interesting notion, wouldn't it? Obviously, with several Ultimate Creator experiences being snatched up during our My Singing Monsters board game Kickstarter, it'll be very exciting to collaborate with those members of the community in the development of some new mythical monsters. Obviously, when it's safe to do so, and as sort of things get back to normal in the world, we are very excited to collaborate with those people. Don't necessarily have a timeline yet about when that's going to take place, so the creation of future mythical monsters, we don't necessarily have a timeline as of right now, but it would certainly be interesting to see all those mythical monsters hanging out together. That is a very neat idea. So thank you, Flushed Corn, for your question. Food for thought. Food for thought.
Some great image name synergy there, by the way. Loved it.
Absolutely.
It was very good. We have maybe a Gast showing up next. You've been invited to speak.
So
Hey,
I have a
Gast.
question about the Wubblin Island.
Please.
So since the Wubbox created the Wubblins, as you said earlier, what are the possibilities that the Rare Wubbox possibly created some Rare Wubblins?
Yes, Rare Wubblins have been speculated at for many years now.
Oh boy.
Definitely an interesting notion. In the past, we've sort of toyed with the idea, and we never were really super satisfied with any of the ideas that we had come up with. And we don't mean specifically for like the rarefication of the Wubblin species, but just how we would go about doing it, especially because rare monsters are not always available. Would those be the eggs that were being zapped, stuff like that? The other thing from a canonical standpoint is that it's really common Wubbox that has sort of the penchant for creation, is an inventor type. Rare Wubbox is more of has wanderlust, is more of an explorer, is more of a traveler, and that is of course what inspired them to go to the human world and sort of pick up different transmissions and sort of reconfigure itself into its Rare Wubbox form. So I don't know if Rare Wubbox necessarily shares the same creator instincts as common Wubbox, but that's not to say that common Wubbox couldn't one day get the idea to create Rare Wubblins. It's not something that we currently have in our production schedule, but you never know. Never say never.
Yet again, the Rare Wubbox is a bit creepy, because like in some of the islands, literally can be heard, the monsters inside the Rare Wubbox trying to communicate with the monster world. I can clearly hear it in some islands, and it's actually kind of terrifying.
Well, maybe Aghast, maybe some of those concerns of yours will be cleared up later this year during the Year of the Monster. We do have some creative plans to sort of put to rest some of the enduring speculation as to what it is that the Rare Wubbox is saying. So look for that later this year.
exciting tease there.
Indeed.
Yes. So let's just move on to our next question. Give nobody time to think about that. Epic Cybot.
On to the next. That's right.
Hello there.
Hello.
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 So my question is, are y'all gonna add Yelmid to the game? Because he's the only fire triple elemental that's the only triple fire elemental. So are you guys gonna add him to the game?
Epic Cybop, I love your appreciation for Yelmid. I am a Yelmid fan myself. I would like to clarify a particular point. Yelmid, not actually a triple element fire monster, but actually a quad element fire monster. I can understand though why you'd think it's a triple element, because it is unusually small for a quad element monster. It's sort of not much larger than a furcorn, it would seem, but it is a quad element monster, sort of defying the stereotype of bosses, aka quad monsters, being large. So like other fire quad elementals that are exclusive to Dawn of Fire right now, like Edamame, like Flummox, like Incisor, like Tiawa, stuff like that, those right now are canonically existing in the monster world, the contemporary monster world on the Fire Islands, on Fire Haven, Fire Oasis, but right now they are remaining as exclusive content to the Dawn of Fire prequel experience.
Thank you very much. Just a second here. The computer's having some issues. There we go. Ant Blau, you've been invited to speak and ask our very next question.
Hello, monster handlers.
Hello.
My question is, in the future, will there be some type of interactive thing like MSM Fandomonium that happens every week?
So I think you're experiencing it right now, Ant Blau. Obviously with My Singing Monsters Fandomonium earlier this year, that was an awesome experience working with Wind Sun Sky to bring that experience to life. It was a lot of fun to work with them, to tease at new content and to develop the personalities of Furcorn, Mammoth, and Pom-Pom even further, and for them to go on various adventures and hijinks. Right now, we are planning on hosting one of these Handler Hangouts on average about once every 4 to 5 weeks for the foreseeable future. And this is sort of going to be our opportunity to interact with the community and answer questions and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's happening, baby. It's happening right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Happy monstering.
Just on
Any more
the topic of the regular thing, Sean, will you choose someone? I think we are aiming to do this on the last Thursday of every month.
Hello?
Right now, that's our thinking.
Hello. Starcam, welcome. You have a question.
So, just to ask, is there ever going to be another thing like Gold Island for the Magical Sanctum monsters, the magical monsters, and like the fire elementals?
Another Gold Island-like island. Definitely an interesting notion.
Platinum Island.
Yes, I know that. There's been a lot
thinking.
of there's been a lot of speculation that it would be another sort of human world element like silver or platinum or something like that. I can reveal that the idea has bounced around the minds of a few monster handlers here. It would be quite a large undertaking and not off the table, but not necessarily where our current creativity is leading us. We did even go as far as proposing a name for this island, but it is not Platinum Island and it is not Silver Island. So I'm going to dangle that as an area of speculation for the future. But it has come up. So rest easy that it is knocking around the minds.
And I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Happy monstering.
You too. Plenty more questions to go. I just want to say we're going on about 10 minutes left. I'm sorry if we can't get to everybody. There are about 70 people wishing to speak. So we're just going down the list. And next on the list is Quibot Wan. You're up to speak. You've been invited.
All right. So my question is, will there ever be like
parallel islands in the same location in the ethereal realm that the natural islands are, that have like the ethereal elements, um, like parallel to the natural elements. Like for example, Plasma Island wouldn't have mech, Shadow Island wouldn't have poison, etc. Is that a possibility?
Ooh, a very interesting idea. That would certainly be quite a lot of potentially some new monsters. I would expect, as
Yeah, like
there'd be
double the
some
quads.
yeah, there'd be some hybridization there. Definitely an interesting idea. As of right now, the Ethereal Island is the sole home, other than of course the natural islands, for ethereal monsters, and something like a Plasma Island or a Mech Island or a Poison Island. As of right now, it's sort of, we want that to occupy sort of a creative space for the community. Obviously, canonically, they do not exist. It's only the Pocket Dimension and Ethereal Island where those ethereal monsters reside. And that in part has to do with the special significance of Ethereal Island as it relates to the colossal monsters. Maybe I'm delving into some interesting lore here. So while I can say that we don't necessarily have plans for something like Plasma Island or Poison Island or stuff like that, I can, in exchange, perhaps offer some lore tidbits here as we approach the end of our Handler Hangout. I can confirm, and this was very interesting. This came up. This was a fairly recent discovery around the time of our Pocket Dial Magical Sanctum official trailer. But some Bubblerite-dating. You've heard of carbon dating. This is Bubblerite-dating from some of the statues of the ghasts there in the Ethereal Meadow on Ethereal Island. Actually position Ethereal Island as being the oldest island in the monster world. Very curious. We were not expecting this, of course, because obviously in the main dimension, the continent has always been seen as the sort of original, the thing from which all other things sprang. So we were very
Starhenge could also be that too.
Absolutely. So there are these ancient islands whose histories are still shrouded in mystery, but thought that might be an interesting piece of information to drop, that Ethereal Island, thanks to Bubblerite-dating, is the oldest island in the monster world. We suspect that it might have served as sort of a sandbox or sort of workshop experimentation island on the part of the Colossals before they felt confident enough to create the prime dimension of the monster world. That's our sort of leading theory at this time.
Okay.
So chew on that.
Thank you very much.
And
thank you for your question.
Before I go, to make up for last time when I forgot to say happy monstering, I'm going to say it twice. So happy monstering and happy monstering.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I will always
monstering to you.
accept a double happy monstering.
Yes.
Thank you for your question.
Very happy
Okay.
monstering. Creeptanium, you're up next. Let's just keep it going.
Hello, Creeptanium.
If you're trying to speak, we cannot hear you, Creeptanium.
Creeptanium, is that like bubblerite? Is that like a substance? Is that a mineral? Does it exist on a periodic table of elements? I wonder.
How's this?
Yes,
Yeah,
hello, we can hear you.
Nice. All right. Glad to be up on the stage. I have a lore question for you.
I'm listening.
All right. So the rocks on Magical Sanctum resemble they're called cutaneous fibromas, and they appear on real-world deer.
Wow.
So I was wondering, because this disease is spread through contact with another infected deer, does this mean that there are other titans of the same species as Enchantler?
Oh, what an excellent lore question. Very well researched.
I was gonna say a deep dive.
Yes. These particular growths on Enchantler sort of arose naturally. Their particular origin is not the same as those that occur on deer in the human world, but I wonder if perhaps they are something like an allergic reaction to the specific composition of the pocket dimension, which has to be different in some ways than the main dimension of the monster world, because of course Enchantler is actually not native to the pocket dimension. It traveled to the pocket dimension after its aspirations of becoming a colossal were dashed. So I wonder instead if they are sort of like a rash or some sort of like seasonal allergy that you might get in a place that is unfamiliar to you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Happy monstering.
Happy monstering.
Thank you.
Very happy monstering. Mouse, you're up next. We only have a few minutes left, so we're going to try and crank out a couple more questions from y'all. And then, yeah, Mouse, you've been invited to speak.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello, Mouse.
Hello, okay.
Hello, Mouse.
So, I've been playing this game for a long time. Ever since, I think since Shugabush Island was revealed.
Wow.
Yeah.
2013.
So, yeah.
Thank you for being such a loyal player all these years.
Thank you. And my question is, are there any plans to release Rare Shugafam?
Because the Shugafam represents a collaboration between us and Christian Bush, and because Christian, while of course still a fan of My Singing Monsters and a friend of Big Blue Bubble, is off sort of doing his own thing these days, we do want to sort of keep the Shugafam special and unique in the sense that they only have common versions. Now, I'm going to use this question of yours, Mouse, as a segue, though, into another aspect about Shugabush Island. It was asked, I believe, on the last AMA/Handler Hangout about whether or not the population of Shugabush Island would be growing soon. And, that's an interesting notion. There are definitely some characters on Shugabush Island that seem like they would belong there, but that have not traveled there in any sort of historical event that I know of, and maybe that's coming sometime this year. I don't know. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Thank you for your question, Mouse.
All right, thank you guys, and have a good day.
Yeah, same to you.
Okay.
Happy day.
Yes, Box. Let's hear from you, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, so I have two questions, kind of.
We might only have time for one, but go ahead.
Okay. So my question is about, will there be any, like, do you have any plans of stopping, like, making islands? Like, will there be more islands? Are there any in development at the moment?
Oh, that's a loaded question, yes, Box. As I mentioned before, we don't necessarily like to comment on future development just because we want it to be a surprise for people. We don't want people saying, "When's it coming? When's it coming?" We don't want to promise that. But of course, it is the year of the monster, and I don't think the year of the monster would be complete with just Magical Sanctum. So maybe that's all I'll say at this time.
Okay, thank you. Happy monstering.
Happy monstering.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, and that will be from Gaster Doggo.
What a great name, Gaster Doggo.
Gaster Doggo to speak.
Hello.
To be here with you. And also, I'm sorry, my English is very bad. I'm Spanish.
Oh, sounds great.
Question is there plans for seasonal? Like, oh no, maybe I would like to think that I don't know, like for example, like Magicals had Magical Sanctum, seasonals had a seasonal island, and there could be seasonal hybrids. I don't know if that.
Gaster, a very interesting notion. You're saying that like Magical Sanctum is sort of the ultimate destination for single element magical monsters like Theremind, like Clacula, like Fluoresce, like Flutefly, that maybe there could be some sort of, I don't know, a seasonal island out there where where seasonal monsters go when they're not participating in their respective seasonal events. A very interesting idea. We do know that the seasonal monsters, by and large, are migratory. They move across the monster world they like Rare Wubbox, are sort of wanderers by nature. They don't have necessarily a fixed abode, but that doesn't say that they don't all like to hang out somewhere at different times. So definitely an interesting idea, Gastrodoggo. I think that's a great question to end off on, because it makes one think. It gives one pause. They think. So thank you very much, Gastrodoggo, for your question, and happy monstering.
Happy monstering. I did want to just say time has wrapped up for us here. I wanted to say again, thanks for all of the great questions and all of the great answers, particularly from my compatriot, Monster Handler Matt. Sitting next to me. We're going to wrap it up now, but I did want to ask the Monster Handlers if there was anything else that they'd like to mention or talk about before we wrap up the stage here.
Monster Handler Mike or Eric, anything from you two?
Eric, I'll let you go.
Just a big old thank you to everyone who participated. I always learn something new at these. We're all learning something new, and it's thank you for the awesome questions and for coming and listening.
Yes, I would like to obviously also share the same sentiments with Eric there of thanks for joining us today, and would love to just get your feedback on what you think about these, and how you enjoy them. If there's things that you would like to, if you have any suggestions for them, we are always looking to improve things and find better ways to interact with you. But we thought that this was a great new sort of series to do ongoing, and just have a way to fill the void of My Singing Monsters Live and a new way to interact with you guys.
Absolutely. I had a couple of quick closing points before we wrap up this Handler Hangout. One of them has to do with a new feature in version 3.2 of My Singing Monsters. Many of you have noticed that we've added a brand new section to the market, the costumes menu, which provides greater visibility on the costumes that are available on a given island, and also a quicker way to see what the limited costumes on that island are on a weekly rotational basis. I did want to mention that we're trying something new in this particular market menu. We've got some new logic in terms of how the different items of the costumes menu are sorted. Right now, limited items are sorted. Excuse me. Excuse me, I got so excited. Limited items are sorted right to the beginning. Excuse me, I'm so excited. Limited items. I'm going to try this for a third time. Third time's charm. Limited items are sorted right to the beginning of the menu, but then right after are items that you do not yet own. And of course, items in the market, their state of ownership is noted by a 0 or a 1 on the item itself. So for the costumes menu, we have those items that you do not yet own sorted immediately after the limited items at the beginning. So we wanted to ask the community whether they liked this new logic, whether they thought that it helped you identify at a glance which items you do not yet own. And if you do like it, maybe we'll consider adding that to the other menus of the market as well, like decorations, like monsters, like structures, and that those items that you do not yet own are sorted to the beginning of the menu. So please send us your feedback on that. We're very curious to see if that's something that you enjoy. Second item that I wanted to talk about is sort of an advanced notice that at some point in the middle of July, we are going to be doing a server migration of My Singing Monsters that will require us to suspend certain community events for about a week's time. Now, what do I mean by community events? I mean things like versus challenges on the Coliseum, Tribal Island, certain social features like torch lighting and key gifting. So this is all part of our server migration plan, and as I mentioned, right now we are sort of targeting the middle of July for this. Just wanted to get out ahead of any sort of theorizing or speculating about anything exciting or specific happening with that. It's not very exciting at all, unfortunately. It's just something that we have to do in order to keep our servers optimized. So as we have more information about that, excuse me, we'll be sure to share that with the community. And just wanted to give sort of a heads up about that particular thing. That will be accompanied by a few hours of downtime around that time, but no longer than we usually do server maintenance. So should only last about a couple of hours. But as I mentioned, once we have more information for you, we'll be sure to share it with you. But just wanted to give you a heads up that that'll be happening at some point in mid-July.
Great. Thank you very much for the information, Monster Handler Matt. And that about does it for this Handler Hangout. We're very happy to hang out with everybody, take your questions. Once again, I want to reach out and give a big thanks to the Ockulo Grove moderation and admin team who've done a lot of hard work in getting these set up and going. So big thanks there. And thanks again to the Monster Handlers. And of course, as we always say,
Happy
Monstering!
Monstering! Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.